Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, we are getting ready for the season of love with this giant Valentine's Day sign. It measures 27 inches from side to side, but don't worry, you can still cut it on a regular 12 by 12 inch cutting mat from either 12 by 12 inch card, US letter card, or A4 card. The bottom of it, if I just flip it over, comes in sections, so we'll cut these separately and then stick them together to make the oversized project. You can add some ribbon in the top if you want to hang it up, but because it's got a flat bottom to it, you can also prop it up on the shelf without the ribbon if that's how you'd prefer to do it. This SVG cut file is free to download, so what are you waiting for? Go ahead and grab it. Let's get started. You can download the free cutting file for this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs or follow the link in the description of this video to go straight to the download page. The download comes in a zip folder and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. After you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, then go to Upload over on the left and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find a file on your computer or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the folder and then the file to select is the one which starts SVG in the file name. Click and drag that in and this is what it looks like. Press Upload. And then click on it to get the green border and press Add to Canvas. It should load in at just about 27 inches wide and it's just about 13 3/4 inches tall. This will cut from 12 by 12 or A4 paper. You might need to make it a little bit smaller to cut on US letter, but probably only by about an inch or so. So you can see this is really big because it's hardly fitting on my canvas. If you want to view the whole design, you can use the arrow plus and minus buttons down here to zoom out. So there we go, that's the design. Where you can see black lines cutting through the design along the bottom bits, that's where all our join lines are going to go. The reason that we've got those is so that we can cut this so big using our standard sized paper and standard sized Cricut mat. If we have a look down the layers panel, lots of hearts, but go all the way to the bottom. We'll get there. And then you can see if you click these, that whole bottom section is split up into 6. So you don't actually need to change anything on the screen unless you want to resize it or change the colors or do any customization, but it is good to go as is. So you can just go ahead and click Make on the top right of the screen. This will separate out all your mats for you and you can change the paper size by going into the drop down here. I'm going to use A4. Once it's done that, you can click and drag to move the shapes around to help take up less space on your paper. You can see here we've got some big bits, some slightly smaller bits. You might be able to move things around to help use up a little bit less space. For example, I could change the key, click the 3 little dots and move object. Choose one of the same colour. Actually, I'm going to go for that one. Press confirm. And that will move it. So you can play about trying to get everything to fit up on less sheets if you can. If you manage to get any empty, they'll disappear when you get to the next step. When you're happy with how everything is looking, press continue down on the bottom right and then follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut out with your Cricut. Here are all of the layers of my giant sign cut out and I've laid everything vaguely on top of each other just to check that I'm happy with all the colours and that I haven't missed anything. I've left off all the little individual hearts for now because I didn't want to spend a load of time placing them and then have to move them again off the top. So I'll do those ones at the end, but I just wanted to check that I was happy with how everything else was looking. But we need to start at the bottom and then work our way upwards. So let's move some of these bits out of the way. I'm going to try and keep them kind of in the order they're supposed to go, so I don't have to worry about working it all out again later. Now I'm left with my very bottom 6 pieces, which is what we're going to stick together first. And you'll notice that these have got little shapes cut out of them on the sides and the edges, and they'll correspond with the matching shape you put it up against, so you'll know exactly when everything's in the right place, because those holes will line up really perfectly. Alright, so I'm going to get my glue and start sticking them together. And I'm going to be a bit risky on this one. Normally I would lie it all out so it matches and then use washi tape to put everything in exactly the right position to make sure it's all lining up. But this time I think I'm just going to go with the flow and go one at a time. So we'll see how this works out. Hopefully it'll be fine. I'll start with this one. And you can put your glue just after where the shapes are. If I hold that up a bit, see I've gone just a little bit underneath it, but not too much. And then we'll line this up so that the arrows go one on top of the other, like that. Next I'll do the top one, and be careful on this as there are several different circles. These ones are to hang the sign up if you're going to be using twine or ribbon. So it's the 2 that match the very left, which are the ones we want to stick. My glue's on there, and then I'll attach this one. So I'm lining up those circles. And also you can check the line of this heart shape at the top. Everything's looking good there. Next is this one. This is going to be nice now. We've got 4 separate holes to line up against. The hardest bit with these signs is positioning it so you can actually see what I'm doing. They're just too big. There's that one. Then there are 2 left. Start with the top one. A bit of glue down this right hand side where the squares are. There. And last one. I don't want to jinx myself, but this one's actually been really easy to line up compared to some of the other signs. So hopefully I'll still think the same once this last bit's gone on. Ooh, it's not quite lining up. I think I just need to wiggle my top bit. Ah, but that glue is dry already. Oh well, it's only a teeny bit out. I don't think it'll notice. The bit I'm worried about is just checking that this bit looks nice, because that's the only bit you'll actually see. So as long as that bit looks neat, we're all good. Okay, base done, nice and quick. All right, next we've got the slightly darker pink to go on the top. And I'll start by putting this just out in the correct space. There's a little overlap on the top pieces. By overlap, that's not what I meant. I meant a little gap, so you can still see a little bit of the lighter pink. The bottom bits all touch the very bottom of the sign. So these bits are the easiest to line up because they just go straight down and line up along that bottom. Okay. Like that. So for this, you can either do it one of two ways. We're going to be sticking this on with foam squares to give it some dimension. You can either glue all of these 6 pieces together and then turn it over and add all the foam squares at once, or you can do it piece by piece. But if you do that, just be warned that some of the bits, they all do overlap still. So just make sure if you stuck this one on with foam squares, when it came to this one, you wouldn't want to put any foam that's going to be on that overlap bit, otherwise it's not going to be flat. I think I will stick everything together first and then do all the foam in one go. I'll start with the bottom just because I know the bottom is going to be straight. There you go, now you can see straight along here. That probably wasn't the best one to end up starting with actually, because I'm not going to know where this bit goes. Try this differently. So I'll put those 2 in position. I'm going to stick this on top at once. Because we've got a little cutout here, this little triangle bit. So we'll have to make sure it lines up. There we go. That was a better way to do it. And then we've got the top. And now I don't think it probably doesn't matter which way around to do it. This one you've got quite a nice way to line it up because you've got these cutouts here. When you're doing these top bits, try and get a nice even border of that light pink showing around the edge. And this one is nice because we've got the holes, the hanging holes, to use as our line-up space. Then just one more. Okay. Right, I'm going to let that glue dry and then turn this upside down and add some sticky tape down the join lines to give it a little bit more stability, and also do that on the base layer as well because I forgot. Normally I always do that. On this one it just slipped my mind, but I don't want to move this one about until all the glue's dry in case it shifts anything out of position. Here's my very bottom layer, the one we stuck down first. Let's turn it upside down and then add some sticky tape down all of these join lines. It doesn't matter if you go over most of the shapes, just make sure you don't cover these 2 circles at the top, which are the ones we use for hanging it up. Okay. Move this one. Slide that one under. Then do the same for the next piece. Upside down and then tape down all the join lines. Okay, so that's taped down those. I've gone quite rough in places because It doesn't matter too much, you're just adding it as that little extra bit. You can see it if I tilt it into the light. Make sure your tape doesn't go over any of the gaps, otherwise you might be able to see it. And then if you're going to be hanging your sign, this is a good time to thread your twine or ribbon through. Got some ribbon. That might not be long enough actually. Remember, this is the back, so I'm going to thread it through here. You'll be able to see it a little bit, but if you want, you can tape it in here, and then you'll see a little bit less of it once it's hanging. It won't sort of go downwards and be visible, so if you want to, you can just add that little bit of tape to that. I'm just going to untangle it. Okay, right, I'm just going to leave mine loose, I think. Maybe a bit of tape. Right, now we can add the foam squares to the back, and this is what is going to take me just a little while. As you can see, I've added all my foam squares on here. These are the ones I was using from Dot & Dab. These are quite nice big ones, and I've used most of a sheet. This was a new sheet when I got started. Just got those few ones left. It's important that you add a lot and that you don't just go around the edge, but that you also add loads in the middle too, because if you just had stuff around the edge, there's nothing to stabilize the middle, so your cardstock will droop, especially because it's so big and heavy, and it just won't be able to support the weight of itself. And I just want one more in there. Just spotted that. So that's why I've got so many on here. Let's turn it over. And then the moment of truth is if it all lines up. Luckily, the bottom makes this really easy because it goes all the way to the edge on both of the pinks. Then we can drop. Needs a little bit of adjustment, but not a lot. I think that's all okay. Got my ribbon stuck to the foam, that's why that was being a bit weird. But I'm happy with that, so I'll push down, get it all really well stuck. And I think I'll tie this now. I probably should have gone the other way around, because that's going to pull down a little bit. I think it'll be okay once the other hearts are on top. Okay. Right, that was all the scary pieces done. So now we're moving on to the smaller bits. Next, we're going to move on to sticking on these pieces here. You can see in white and brown, and these are all glued on, which is nice and easy. The white pieces overlap with each other and the brown bits don't, so bear that in mind when you're putting it together. I'll start with this one because this is the easiest to line up against what we've already got. So I'll add some glue. Be a little bit careful on this bit, this little gap. It's a little narrow, but it will be overlapped, so don't worry too much if it breaks. Okay. There's that one. And then this one will go at the bottom. You can line it up, you can't really see, line it up here and along the heart, and also the bit where it meets up there. So this bit does cover the entire dark pink bit right up to the edge, so you know where to put it. Next is this one. This one's a little bit harder to line up, but you can use the N shape to do it and then know that that's all in the correct space. And then finally, this little bit here. For this one, it's easiest to know where to put it by making sure your brown pieces are in position. We haven't glued them yet, they're just on, because then you can see where it overlaps the N so that the I won't touch that brown N. There is a little gap in there. There we go. All right, now onto the brown. Now these two pieces don't overlap, they'll just touch up against each other. And it's going to be easiest to do first. Probably the top bit, because we want this to be straight. And then the bottom bit here. And line that up. Okay, right, let's continue on with our hearts. And the next one to go on are these two pieces, which are making up this bottom bit of the heart. And these do have a little overlap, I think. Maybe. No, it doesn't. Can't remember what I did. These don't overlap, that's fine. They'll just touch up against each other. And these are both glue bits. Let's move that along. I keep forgetting to check if you can actually see on the screen what I'm doing. It's not very helpful, is it? Right, there's this one. And then the left piece. They'll just touch up. There's a little bit of white around the edge still showing, but I think that's okay. It'll help with the shadowing, make it look nice. And then we've got this piece to go on top, which again is a glue layer. This one only covers this part here because this is going to get covered up, so there was no point in cutting it. Just be a waste of card on that one. So just this bit, load of glue. And be careful if you're doing what I'm doing now and actually putting the glue on, holding it over your project. It's a very silly thing to do because if you spill any glue, it means it's going to go on the project. There is that. Fabulous. Okay. I think next I'm going to do my happy and do the text. I've cheated a little bit and I've already used foam squares to attach my pink letters, pink and red letters onto the yellow, just to make this a little bit quicker. I do recommend getting everything into position before you start sticking, just to make sure you're spelling it all right and all of that. Where does this go? There. That will be there. And then got my happy. I'll do this one first because there's a little bit where some of the Valentine's letters might touch the happy. So if we put the happy on first, that'll appear on the bottom, which will just look a little bit neater. Got a million foam square bits to take off. I'm on a little bit of a time constraint on this one because I'm off to the theatre tonight and I have to leave very soon. I'm filming this in the evening so that comment makes sense. Okay, there's my happy, and now I'll add this on. I'm hoping I can get this finished before I go, but I'm not 100% hopeful. That's the thing with these giant signs. They are a bit of a project. They take a little bit of time, but I think it's definitely worth it. And that's why I keep coming up with new ones, because they are a lot of fun to make. And it's something that you can put in a storage box, you know, a big plastic box up in the loft or in the garage. Maybe not the garage in case it gets damp, but, you know, under the bed or something. I've got all of my giant signs in a really big plastic under the bed storage box, so they all live in there, all nice and flat. Nothing gets bent up, and it just means I can take them out year after year and display them. So even though, yes, it's a lot of card, it's certainly a lot of foam squares and a lot of time and effort, but you've only got to do it once. And then you can use it every single year. And I always love getting them out the next year and having a look and reminding myself of what I made. So, yes, definitely worth it in my opinion. But I do hate peeling off foam square tops. Right, there's the words done. Next, let's do this other heart. And the first bit that will stick down will be the white, and this one we'll do with foam. It will overlap this A a little bit, or you can tuck it under, whichever one you prefer. And I think I need a new pack of foam squares. That means I'm on to my third pack for this sign. Right, then this lines up. I think I'll tuck it under my A, like that. And then we've got the red. This will be glued. There, and finally I've got the outline bit, which again will be glued. Probably would have been easier to do this bit before the lettering, but never mind. We'll make it work. Ah, lovely. Okay, teddy bear time. Next layer is this one, the white, which will make up his eyes or her eyes. This is a glue layer. I had to tuck that under my letters there. So actually, when I make the assembly guide for this project, I'm going to do this in a slightly different order and do the teddy and the hearts first, I think. All right, now we've got the eyes, which will be glued on, and they're just little pieces, little black eyes. Just a bit of glue around the edge, and then put them in place. There. And then we've got this bit to make up his snout, which will be a foam square layer. That's that one. And then we have the heart. here it is. And I think I'm going to glue the heart and then foam the feet on. If you want to have a little bit more depth on it, you can foam the heart as well to bring it out from the nose. But then the teddy will be out further than anything else. In fact, I think it maybe already will be. So it's just up to you really if how deep you want it to go. But I think that's probably right. And then his little nose. Actually, it's quite a big nose, but only because the sign is so big. And that goes up near the top of the snout in the middle. And then the solid feet, as I just said, will be foamed. Make them pop out from the heart. One. And 2. Then the love you will be glued. This is a bit narrow. Be careful on this one. Tuck it under a little bit. Love you. It doesn't matter too much if you get it exactly in the centre or not. I haven't, but it still looks just fine. And then we'll glue on his little feet with the details. There, isn't he just the cutest little teddy? Okay. Next I'll do the key at the bottom, which is going to go here. I've got 3 layers and I'm going to foam the white, give it a little bit of pop out. Goes about there, doesn't matter too much. Just remember we do have a little heart we'll be putting in there. And then let's foam the pink one too. I'm going to need a little foam square for in this bit. And another big one there. There we go. And the yellow on top, I will glue. Oop, just thrown my foam squares on the floor. There is that. So, it's looking pretty awesome. The next big thing to do are all of the hearts along the top. Okay, so here we are back again the next day because I did run out of time and I had to leave before I could finish yesterday. What I've done in the meantime is I've stuck on all of the little hearts around the design and I've used foam squares for all of these to give them a little bit of pop. And for the ones like this and this where there's a white and then a colour, I used foam square on both of them. So one for the white and then one for the coloured heart on top. And I did print out a picture of what it was supposed to look like so that I knew which heart to put where, because there are a lot of them and a lot of them are just slightly different colours or sizes or shapes. So I wanted to make sure I get it right. When I make your assembly guide for you to follow when you're putting this together, I will make sure I include a picture like this to make it easier for you as well. This is looking really, really nice. I love all the colours on it so much. And we just need to finish off with the hearts at the top. I'll move this down a little. Here we go. And I'll just roughly put those in place. And that one. And then I'll start with the one on the right. just because it's a little bit easier than the one on the left. The first layer is this one, which is the solid red, and this will be a foam square layer. It sits right on the top. It will line up with the shape you can see. There we go. I just moved it there. The next layer is this white one, and this can really be either, but I'm going to glue it because it is a little thin around that edge. Okay, that one goes on there. Lovely. And then last one for this heart is the darker red, which again is another glue layer. Next we'll do this yellow and pink one. The solid yellow is the bottom, which will be foam squared. And then this one, because it's a little bit thicker on the outline, I think we can get away with foam squaring this one too. I'm going to switch to my slightly smaller pads, but they fit in there nicely. Oh, just on the edge, look. If that hadn't have quite fitted there, then I would have had to cut it in half, but just got away with it. Alright, last but not least, we've got this one. Starting with the solid red, which you probably can guess this now, is going to be a foam square layer. This is going to help to hold my ribbon in place, going over the top there. Next we've got the yellow, and this one will be glued. Then on top of that is the red layer, again another glue one. This sits right on top, building up that pattern inside the hearts. And one piece left and then we're done. The heart to go in the middle. And this one I will pop out with a little bit of foam. There, done. So here's my giant sign, all finished. If I move it along a bit, you can see all of the wonderful details. I'm really happy with how this has turned out, and I can't wait to display it on my wall for Valentine's Day. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts, including Valentine's Day fun. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!